Hello friends, and happy Straturday. Psyberry here with another Darkest Dungeon How to Use guide. Real quick, before I get rolling on this, thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share this guide with a friend. Your support is greatly appreciated as we try and get up and above 1,000 subscribers. We're well over halfway there, and I appreciate every one of you for that. And briefly, a quick shout out, it looks like we got a release date for DD2. It's going to come out on, October 26th, I believe. So right before Halloween, we should be seeing something from that, and I'm stoked. I hope you're stoked too. But without further ado, let's get into this. Today we're going to take a deep dive into how to play the Miko. The Miko was released June 12th of 2021, and last updated September 14th of 2021, so not that long ago. The credits real quick. Caitlin did the character art, sprites, and the animations. The Necromancer did trinkets, icons, effects, sound effects, coding, and the writing. Zun Team Shanghai Alice, and I hope I got that right, was the creator of the original character and the source material. And Akira Banpai, again I hope I got that right, was the artist whose original design was a reference for this mod. So, let's just dive straight into the base stats real quick here. The max HP is a 20 at first resolve, and it will become a 36 at max resolve. This is below average for HP stats. She's a little squishy in that regard. It's the same HP growth and stat as the Grave Robber has, but overall it's not super low to be worrisome. We will just have to keep this in mind when we plan accordingly. The dodge is going to start out at 10 at opening resolve and will become a 30 at max resolve. So this is typical above average dodge stat that we see in a lot of other classes. Again, it reflects the Grave Robber in this case, and so hopefully you can build upon this to make her not take hits often. Prot is a 0 as we expect, and the speed is actually going to be a 7 at opening resolve, and it will become an 8 at third resolve, and a 9 at fifth resolve. This is great speed, actually, if we're being honest. It's the second highest in the base game. It's tied for the Abomination and the Plague Doctor. So she's going to outspeed a decent amount, and if you just add a few to that through trinkets and whatnot, you'll find that she's going to have a very, very stacked speed stat and go first fairly often. The accuracy mod is a 0, as you would expect. The crit is going to start out at a 5% at opening resolve and progress by 1 to a 9% every level until max resolve. This is a great crit stat again. It's tied for the Hellion and Highwayman have the same crit chance. So she's actually going to stack up crits a decent amount depending on the skill selection that you use. And finally, the damage at opening resolve will be 6 to 12, and at max level will be 10 to 19. This is the same as the Crusader gets when he levels up, so I consider this to be the high end of frontline damage. It's not a leper, but it's pretty close. So if you're going to choose moves where damage is your main consideration, she's actually surprisingly potent in that regard. Even though I technically think she's more of a support unit once we get into her combat skills. Speaking of, let's just start right off with the first one. The first skill for her is Extermination. It's usable from rank 1, 2, or 3, and can target rank 1 or 2 enemies. This is a melee attack with an accuracy base of 100. It does full damage, and has a crit modifier of plus 6%. This attack will do an additional 30% damage versus yokai, so it's very good in the Sunward Isles. And on a hit with this attack, you will add 1 stack of rhythm. We're going to go a little more into that later, but it's for now, to understand what it is, it's a behind-the-scenes passive stacking buff that will empower her in future rounds. And when hit, this is with all rhythm stacking, when the Miko is hit, you lose all stacks you've acquired. So it's kind of a, how many times can I gain this buff before I'm hit? And you gain it from certain skills, and you gain it from getting crits yourself. So this is a good move for that. The second combat skill is Persuasion Needle. It's usable from rank 2, 3, or 4, and can target rank 2, 3, or 4 enemies. This is a ranged attack that will move the Miko forward 2 ranks. Has an accuracy base of 105, a damage mod of -60%, and a crit modifier of +8%. On a hit, this will also give you 1 stack of rhythm, and when you are hit, you lose all stacks as usual. This will debuff the target for -12% debuff skill chance at 130% base. I only have the 1 Miko, so that 130% is actually just because she's basically max level almost. So I apologize for some of these numbers being a little off, but it's mainly only the potencies that is off. But this will debuff the target to receive debuffs easier, and also disable stress skills. Both of those being 130% activation is pretty standard, but if you buff that with a trinket, you can pretty much shut people down. The third combat skill is Evil Sealing Circle. It's usable from rank 1 or 2, and can target rank 1, 2, or 3 enemies. It's a ranged attack. This will move the Miko back 2 ranks. Has an accuracy base of 105, a damage modifier of -30%, and a crit mod of +5%. This is a stun attack with 140% base for the stun. I believe it will max out at 150, but I do not know that for sure, as my Miko is not maxed out at this point. The damage for this is reduced by the target's missing HP. So the healthier the target is, the more damage this is going to do, if I'm reading that right. So keep in mind, it will be varied, the outcome of the damage of this move, based on how healthy the enemy is. This will also have the on-hit +1 stack of rhythm, and when hit you will lose all stacks as usual. This is really potent for a stun ability, and I find I gravitate toward this a lot. The only issue is she likes to be in the front ranks. She only has a couple of moves that prioritize either of the back 2 ranks, and this is going to shove you back there in the party, so you're going to have to spend some time getting back up into the front, or somehow build your party to shift her back into the front. It can be done, and we'll probably get into some concepts on that later, but keep in mind that if you do want to run this and you don't have a good party for it, Persuasion Needle is a good way to jump right back into the ranks you want to be in.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy.
The fourth ability is also another good moving around ability in some certain situations. We're going to start here with Homing Amulet. This is technically usable from any rank, and will hit every rank of living enemies. This is a ranged attack, has an accuracy base of 115, and a damage modifier of -20%, and a crit mod of -4%. Now this will do 19% less damage per target on the other side. So if there are a lot of people living on that side and you are using this as a cleave to get through all of them, it's going to be significantly weaker than if there is 1 or 2 living enemies on that side. This is going to bypass any riposte, and this will move you in the party depending on what rank you're in. If you're in rank 1 or 2, this is going to move you back 1. If you're in rank 3 or 4, this is going to move you forward 1. So this is not a bad way to follow up after an Evil Sealing Circle to stun. You could follow up with this to try and pull yourself into those front ranks again. And it's not a bad option that way. It does shift the damage it does pretty drastically, so keep that in mind. This is also going to buff yourself +4 dodge. So this is a good way to also add to your dodge, which I think is very important to the Miko. The fifth ability is Disaster Dispelling Prayer. This is usable from any rank. This will stress heal you or an ally for 9 stress healing at this level. It will clear a stun, which is very nice, and you will also buff that target for a bonus to their stun resistance. So this is very good against anything that stuns, honestly, but like, the first thing that comes to my mind is the spiders and those annoying assholes that like to stun you. Some of the bosses are also coming to mind pretty significantly here. But if you get a stun on your party and you follow up with this, it's a good way to bounce back from such things. But it's also just a very efficient stress healing move, especially if you trinket her properly to build upon it. The 6th combat skill is Donmaku Barrier. This is usable from rank 3 or 4, and this is one of her spell card abilities. This is a unique system that she's got going on, where a certain amount of times per quest you are able to freely use what is called a spell card ability. So these are limited by a secondary system that you can actually kind of expand upon through a camp skill and also through an item that she will equip when she goes out on a dungeon. We'll go into this a little bit in the combat section later, but for now all you need to know is these are kind of limited, but you can do things to expand the total number that you can use. But the Donmaku Barrier version of the spells is going to buff yourself and mark yourself. You mark yourself as a target, you will gain 1 block, like an Aegis block, like the Shield Breaker brought into the game. And all the heroes are gonna be buffed for less crits received, minus 10% crits received, and they will all be stress healed for 5 stress at this level. So it's a little lower at low level, but it's still actually a really good AoE stress heal. So this is not a bad defensive option, or if you just want to recover near the end of a dungeon from the stress you guys have accumulated. The 7th ability is Fantasy Seal. It's the more offensive version. It's usable from rank 1 or 2, and targets every enemy on the field. This has an accuracy base of 120, so it's pretty damn accurate. Has a damage modifier of negative 90%, so it does a little bit of damage. Has a hefty crit mod of plus 9.5% crit. This will inflict stun on every target with 140% base. This will mark yourself as a target and give you 1 block. So each of these spell cards is going to give her 1 Aegis block and mark her. So keep that in mind when you use them. They're a little dangerous in that way. But self-marking is a thing that she kind of... it's a theme here. She's a target who hopefully will evade any incoming damage, and she's a distraction in that way.
Confusion. Nerves.
Alright, now let's go through her camping skills real quick here. She's got generic Encourage, Wound Care, and Pep Talk, as you would expect. Her first unique camping skill is Kuchiyose Trance, and I apologize if I butchered that. This is a time cost 3 ability. This will affect herself. She's going to recover 25 stress and have a chance at some other buffs. There's a 25% chance she will gain a plus 20% stun resistance for 4 battles, and an equal chance of 25% that she will either get a plus 10 accuracy or plus 7% crit for 4 battles. This will also remove mortality debuffs, so this is very good for someone who marks herself as a target. You may run into situations where she does hit mortality debuff pretty early in a quest. This is a good way to recover from that if you need to. But it's not the most useful ability in the world. It is very good for self-care for a target that is a distraction / marked unit. The second unique camping skill is Hare Ceremony. This is a time cost 4 ability. This is going to prevent nighttime ambush, and all your friends are going to heal 15 stress. That's not bad for a ally stress heal and prevent nighttime ambush skill. Time cost 4, it is right about where I would put this as well. It's just costly enough that you'll use it, if that makes sense. You're not going to love that you're paying 4 time cost for it, but it's functional for what it does, and it's not spendy, in my opinion. The third of the camping skills is Bomb Brew. This is a time cost 3 ability, and it will give you an item. It will brew 1 Miko bomb tincture that you can put in your inventory. And when you consume this Bomb Brew tincture, it's going to add 1 to the total number of spell cards you can use in that quest. So this is one of the ways you can expand upon the limited nature of either of these abilities. And you basically one more use out of it by camping. So that's pretty nice. And the final camping skill is Donmaku Practice. Time cost 3. You are going to buff yourself and 1 companion. You yourself are going to receive 10 dodge for 4 battles, and 1 companion is going to receive 15% less stress for the next 4 battles. It's a good way to, 1, buff her dodge, which is primary, but also kind of relieve some stress in the future for an ally, and make it so that if they're running into stressful times, that you are able to more adequately manage that with things like Disaster Dispelling Prayer or Donmaku Barrier. Okay, so briefly, let's go over her unique traits again. She's going to go with the rhythm through all of her attacking skills, have a rhythm setup boost, and anytime she crits, she's going to be gaining these rhythm stacks. So that's always nice. And then the spell cards that you can buff the quantity of by using inventory items. This one, or one she is given when she outsets on a quest. She does have a custom affliction as well, a unique affliction called Crimson. The cost of this affliction is basically a lot of self-stress, act-out scenarios that she is going to be going into, and she's going to still be accruing stress toward that final affliction heart attack that you need to keep in mind. But the time where she is inflicted, she's going to be strengthened buff-wise. She's going to have higher damage, accuracy. Her stun and debuff chances are going to get buffed. Her stress healing actually becomes more effective while she is afflicted as well. And her death blow resistance goes from normal to 77%. Seeing as that's only 10% from the max allotted number that Darkest Dungeon gives you, that's actually pretty potent. And if you want to pair that with a trinket, there's a few trinkets I'm aware of that'll give you death blow resistance and dodge. Those might be really, really good on the Miko. I can't think of the name of it right now, but there's at least one in the Ringmaster's circus trinkets that will do it. Other than that, party composition thoughts for the Miko. She is a very good support unit, but she wants to stay in the front. Keep that in mind. And if you're going to use something like Evil Sealing Circle, have a way to shift her back into the front, whether it's herself using one of these or other units that like to dash back into the back ranks. Grave Robber comes to mind. If you are playing with my Magus class, that also comes to mind. You just gotta time it all out effectively if you plan to use this. Otherwise, keep her in the front ranks, and she does pretty good from up there. Let's see. Another consideration when making parties with her, she does like to mark herself, especially if you're utilizing these spell cards to their full potential. Or if you're using a trinket we'll go over soon, which will always have her marked. She becomes target number 1 to a lot of enemies. So a guard unit is actually going to be really effective in making parties with her. So keep that in mind. And also, if you find a way to get a guard unit who will force the guard on their end, because she doesn't have any force guard skills. If you can get someone who's also got riposte and can guard her, that's actually a pretty good consideration. Man-at-Arms, if you don't mind the nitty-gritty of constantly re-upping those two things separately, is a good defender for her. A class I'm working on, the ex-soldier, is actually good if you have the right trinkets for doing this. So I'm not going to show him today, just because I'm still working on him. If you want to see that class, though, check out my Let's Play. Otherwise, I think the only things we have left to go over before we show her combat is quirks and trinkets. So, in my mind, the best quirks to lock on her, I usually think dodge is king on most any class, but dodge is extra important for her, especially if you are using things that will mark her. And the fact that every time she is hit, she loses all stacks of rhythm, makes dodge extra important. So if you can maximize that dodge somehow, some way, she's going to benefit from that greatly. I am not doing that currently with this run because I need this extra 3 speed specifically. I can get away with 2, but I'd rather not. I think it's a speed fixing issue I've got with my party. I would like to be very specific with their turn order if I can. So in this case, I won't be showing it. But something that can give her dodge is probably the most beneficial quirks and trinkets buff. Her specific trinkets, we will start going over now. The Rod of Remorse is the first one we're going to look at. It's the very rare trinket. It's one of her 2 very rare trinkets. It's going to give her a plus 40% buff to her stress relief skills. It's going to cost her 35% of her damage output and an additional 15% to her stress when she receives it. And this specifically is going to buff Disaster Dispelling Prayer to also heal 2 HP for each ally when used. So this kind of, keep in mind that one's her stress heal single target move and also clears stun. But it's also now going to be an AoE heal for 2 HP, which is pretty interesting, and it's going to buff that stress healing that she wants anyway. This is not bad if you do not necessarily need her putting out damage output. I almost equipped this, but again, I needed speed considerations, and that's what this brought, so I'm going to keep that. But it's a good trinket. Her other very rare trinket, the Sphere of the Occult. This is going to add 35% bonus damage against eldritch enemies at the cost of 15% stress. So this is very good if you are running into the Cove, or you expect eldritch enemies in general. This is also good if you want to use the Miko, but you don't have Sunward Isles active, because some of her buffs, most of her buffs, seem to be for Yukai specifically. So this is not a bad way to get some of that buff for a different source. The next one we're going over, the rare trinket Shion's Curse. This is going to inflict minus 100% HP damage when starving. So you're not going to take HP damage when starving, not with a Miko specifically. Plus 200% stress healed from heart attacks. So when you get the heart attack and you survive, and it gives you that stress recovery, just so you don't immediately get in another heart attack next round, this is actually going to make that 3 times as effective, that initial stress recovery. So that's pretty fun. Minus 50% stress inflicted on the party if afflicted. So the party is going to get a stress barrier of sorts if you are afflicted. And you are also yourself going to receive 25% less stress if afflicted. And the final thing here, minus 100% stress heal received if not afflicted. So any stress healing you give the Miko will be not effective until they are afflicted, and then it will work as normal, her stress healing herself or an ally stress healing her. But also, like, once she is afflicted, you're gaining a defense to stress damage for you and your entire party. So this is an interesting trinket, especially if you're going with an afflicted build. This won't speed up how fast you'll get afflicted, but it will provide you some fun buffs while you are. The next one we're going to go over here is the Oni Gourd. It is the uncommon trinket. It's going to give plus 10% damage and minus 10% stress that you accumulate at the cost of minus 2 to your speed. Not a bad trinket for an uncommon. I'm not equipping it because I want speed right now. And the Hakure Omamori is the last one. It's going to add 5% to your prot, and your crits received chance is going down by 5%. So she's not going to get critted a bunch, and she's going to receive a little bit less damage with each hit. It's not bad for a common trinket. I've seen worse, I've seen better. It's just kind of a normal common trinket. The last trinket we're going to look over real quick is the Crystalline trinket Fallacious Gap. It is going to add 20% to her max HP and plus 3 to her speed. In exchange, she is always marked, so she'll start marked the minute she leaves into a dungeon, and she will always be marked. If the Miko is hit by an attack, there is a chance, 120% base chance, to stun the person who attacked her. And if she was hit, she will also shuffle herself randomly into the party. It's kind of an interesting thing, and I'm looking forward to seeing how varied it's going to be, or how much trouble it's going to give me, because I do not have a guarding unit in this party. But I do have some shuffle skills to be able to get myself back into position, so I'm not too concerned with it. Overall, I hope it's not going to be a problem. But all that being said, oh, there's actually one more. The Courtyard trinket. I don't have it yet, but the pairing here is yin and yang. At least this one, I don't know about the other one. At least this one doesn't do anything until you have both trinkets equipped. And if you do, it's going to give you plus 20% damage versus Yukai, plus 15% damage versus Eldritch, plus 15% stun skill chance, plus 10% stun resistance, and 20% debuff resistance. It's going to give you an additional 5 dodge, but on an attack miss, you are going to inflict 3 to 6 HP damage on yourself, because, well, I mean, you hit yourself. Other than that, I think we're going to go in here, and we're just going to see what we can get done with this party. Our sound is about to mess up. I'm going to see if I can speed through this.
Even the fiercest beast will lay down when it is not eaten. Steal their food.
Oh my god, did I not bring blood? Okay. I guess you're going to be weakening for a while. The good news is that she's a mercenary, so she's not actually going to die from it. So I guess I'm going to go in a big circle. Oh no. I realize you're going through a hard time, Buried, but
Packs
please don't steal
laden
my
with
shit.
loot are often low on supplies.
Alright. First battle, here goes. We're going to first start with an evil ceiling circle, and it's going to launch me into rank 3. We're going to try and stun, well, you make the most sense. Except for we killed you. Not bad. Suppose we're going to try this. Okay. Activate post. Alright, not bad, not bad. Now if only the Buried could force a guard to block the Miko would be covered.
Brought low and driven into the mud.
Alright, not bad. That's a generic start. You know, if you want to get a stun start, that is. I think I'm going to try and use a spell card in the next battle, just to show off how that system works a little bit. Let's see. Let's do that. Then we're going to light up before we go in this room. I'm going to use another, why not?
In Radiance, may we find victory.
Alright, she should go first again, because I've speed fixed this team. We are going to actually use Fantasy Seal and try and get a stun across the board. Let's see what it does.
Precision and power.
Alright, all marked. So we did not get one stun, so let's actually just hit you.
Obliterated.
You're dead in a few turns. Let's just hit you.
Decimated.
Hell yeah. Okay. Alright. Now, when we use that, spell cards used 1. So that means we got a grayed out Fantasy Seal here. It cannot be used again. We're going to try it again in the next combat to show you how and if that changes anything. But until then, we just know that we cannot use it. I'm actually going to Disaster Dispelling Prayer here. I don't need it all, but it's nice to show that I can stress heal my friends. I'm gonna do that, and he will die to his blight. Everything is golden.
The wounds of war can be healed, but never hidden.
Alright. We got the blood. Oh, we got the blood. This makes my speed fixing a little less effective, because now the Shield Breaker and the Buried have very close speeds. Oh, sorry, wrong one. 7 and 8 is a little too close for me. But, let's see. Didn't mean to do it with you. Thought I switched to the Buried. Evidently I did not.
The way is lit. The path is clear.
Okay, this is just the item. Damn.
Only the
I was hoping
strength
this was
to follow
a
it.
room battle as well. Looks like we're heading back up. I will loot this shit later for all that matters. Hey, this gets rid of negatives. You can get rid of Dark Temptation, yo. No temptations for you. Oh, this will be a battle, actually. Just gotta be very careful not to inflict more people with the curse. Alright. Well, I did not change her moves. You'll notice the Fantasy Seal cannot be selected again. So, when it says battle, that means for the quest. So during battle, not during a battle or a specific number, it's for the quest. But if I use this ability on her, she's actually going to... Oh, it's just the debuff. Spell cards used still 1 for this battle. Spell card limit 3 if in mode the Miko. So basically, if you use that on the Miko, she will gain a higher cap for how many that you can use. So now I have a couple more uses of these spell cards. I'm going to try this. It probably won't stun the front two. Yeah. It's nice to have that Aegis block. Why not? I need this guy dead anyway. I think maybe you can kill this one outright.
Annihilated.
The crit definitely helped. I think the Buried can probably finish this one off now that it's blighted. I do bonus damage to blighted foes.
Confidence
And I got a crit. Okay. Alright. Now we just gotta kill the guy that we stalled. Didn't expect a back-to-back stun. I just needed to hurt you. Okay, we're gonna stress heal and go back and do our normal form. And then use her are dead.
As the fiend falls,
Okay.
faint hope blossoms.
Now, normally I'd be done, but I am gonna show you that, yeah, I can go back into the room. It's good. I'm gonna camp real quick and show you that camping ability, and that it also adds to the bonus. That they work together.
Gathered close in tenuous firelight.
So,
Uneasy
bomb brew.
companionship.
This is the bomb tincture that is going to, when used, give her a buff as well. So now her limit is 4. Now, each time you camp, you can brew one of those. So you conceivably, on a longer mission, could have even more bomb brews. This makes her uniquely usable in Crimson Court things as well, because you can find all that firewood in different ways near near the end of quests and whatnot. So you can get a lot of bombs that way that will increase your spell card uses significantly. We were actually going to do a nighttime ambush real quick. Nobody has diseases that I can actually cure, right? Yeah, we're good. Well, I mean, all that stuff considered, this is really all we've got. I don't really have anything else to do, so let's do the buffs to you two. Alright.
The light.
But
the promise of safety.
that is essentially all that we've got time for today. I highly suggest you take out the Miko for a spin and try her out. And thanks Necromancer and the rest of the team for making this fun class. Her spell card system is actually really, really interesting. Other than that, I've got another Let's Play coming up on Wednesday, another one of these guides coming up next Saturday as well. And just around the corner, we've got access to DD2 coming up in October. I'm super psyched for that. Share anything you want in the comments down below about this class, or even just DD2 coming out. But, thanks for watching. Stay frosty.